God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And today we're going to be covering the December 2021 newsletter. Link in the description if you want to read the entire thing. I'm going to be covering the juicy bits, the parts that you really want to know about. Now, first up, they did cover the entire year, which I'll make a video about that later, where it just kind of breaks down all the cool stuff that's happened in 2021. And to be honest, it was a pretty exciting year for Pantheon development. Now, if you don't like development, you probably won't like that. So we're going to move on. We're going to get to the cool stuff, right? And that is the things they're working on, the things they're getting close to, all the really good beans here. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, drop a like, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and of course comment would be fantastic on whatever I talk about and you want to talk about, and we can talk about it together. Anyway, first up, they say looking ahead into 2022, along with the said HDRP build, which is a new client, which looks fantastic and beautiful and mouthwatering, and I can't wait to try it out. They said to also expect the new networking to be added. This is going to greatly improve performance, scalability, and eliminate a lot of the problems such as crashes and all those horrible things that make you cry. Then they say, here you go, you ready for this? Then they say, I'm going to quote, "We will continue to move toward alpha in 2022. End quote. Now listen. Moving toward alpha doesn't necessarily mean that we get to alpha in 2022, right? Doesn't necessarily. But it's worded and crafted in such a way that you read it and alpha in 2022 is part of that sentence, right? So the thing is, they're not going to make promises they can't keep. So I still am saying we're going to make it. We're going to make it, baby, especially with how fast things are moving. But that's what they said. They're also looking to add more team members, make some significant announcements, such as that the Nathan Napalm's getting hired as their official puppeteer. And I don't mean rigging 3D animation, I mean actual handmade puppet. Anyway, expect more guest streams, bigger guest streams, more events, and more pre-alpha sessions. Also expect communication to continue with regular updates in the newsletters, the podcasts, and the dev streams. And then they drop a little bean and say they are looking at adding a new pledge tier in 2022. And if we're going into alpha in 2022, we might need a new pledge tier to make sense for the evolution of the game moving into alpha beta release, right? Hey, I'll take any bean I can get. Now let's talk a little bit about where they're at. Some things they've completed, some things they're working on. I'm going to mention the boring stuff, but I'm going to skim through it real quick, okay? So first up, NPC combat awareness is complete. And what I mean by that is that it's alpha ready. That's what complete means. It means it's good enough for alpha. It doesn't mean it's done, it's ready for launch. It means it's good enough for what they need for alpha, for testing, etc. And that is, of course, the advanced NPC decision-making and tactics that we've been shown before. Of course, it'll be ongoing, adding more content to that all the way through the road to alpha and beyond, I'm sure. The HDRP conversion. This is looking pretty good. So this is separated, but I'm going to squish it together because it's relevant. So as you probably know, is the HDRP conversion. It puts it in the new client and it looks freaking beautiful. Basically, it's magic. It's a magical portal that they got to put things through, and when it comes out the other side, it looks freaking crazy good. So they're working on that, but the interesting thing I found out of this was if you scroll down through the newsletter, it does actually start saying how far along they are on that conversion of getting it through, and I mean from gray box to actually sculpted terrain conversion, right? Thronefast is at 100%. That's fantastic. I'd like to see it, please. Avendir's Pass at 100%. Blackrose Keep is at 75%, almost there. Silent Plains at 100%. Eastern Plains 100%. Wild's End 100%. Bell of Azeris 100%. Fair Hell 100%. The Merc 100%. Coast and Seafloor 50%. Outlying Islands 0%. So interesting to see the seafloor, and we'll be talking more about swimming because they also said that that's on their to-do list. Implementation of a swimming locomotion system with Z-axis movement, all the, swimming around, the stuff that Winter's just so excited about. She can't contain herself. That's a lie. Moving on, class development. This is what I've been waiting to get to. I've been rushing through just to get to this because I'm so freaking hyped about it. This is, okay, so obviously we know that they got to get the core classes in the game, right? Their class components, their unique resources, their mechanics, their UI, etc. Here's the deal, guys. Initial re-implementation of the Dire Lord, the Wizard, the Rogue, the Shaman, the Enchanter, and the Monk have been completed. That's the initial re-implementation. So, they had designed these, they took them out after they did the recoding and fixing of the client, and then they're starting to reintroduce them. They're working way better now, and they've made some changes and made them just basically better. Here's where it gets good. The initial implementation of the Paladin, I just said Paladin, but the Cleric and the Warrior has been completed. The initial implementation of the Paladin, the Cleric, and the Warrior has been completed. The initial implementation, I don't know what that means, but it's good news. It means they're being put into the new client, and that means very likely that you will be able to play the Paladin, the Cleric, or the Warrior, along with the other classes already mentioned, in the next pre-alpha, maybe. They didn't say that, right? For all I know, initial implementation just means that their names are in the game, but you can't actually do anything. It just says you're a Paladin, right? Like, we really don't know. But I would assume that they wouldn't even have said that and put it in the newsletter if they didn't want you to know that that's coming. That's those 3 classes, the next ones to be tested. I don't know about if they'll be at the same time, but I also like to mention that the specific order they're mentioned in, Paladin is mentioned first, then Cleric, then Warrior. We only have 1 tank in the game right now, which is the Dire Lord. We really only have 1 healer in the game as well. So, and that's debatable if a Shaman is really a healer. I'm just joking. So getting the Cleric in will be awesome. And then finally, the Warrior. Now, the Paladin and Warrior play completely different. And the Dire Lord as well. They're just 3 completely different play styles of tank with their own strengths and weaknesses. But I want to play the Paladin. I'm so excited. And that right there, I almost couldn't even... Actually, I quit reading after that. I was so excited. I'm texting people. I'm freaking out. I'm doing a little dance. So super excited about that. That is fantastic. But there's more really big news here. Real quick before we continue, I want to give a major shout out to the members of Napalm. Thanks to their contributions, I can get the equipment and gear that I need to keep this channel ticking, covering MMOs, RPGs, and of course, puppets. If you're interested in becoming a member of Napalm, please click the join button down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And a very special major shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Bounty Code, We Toke Bitcoins, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, and Farthest Reach. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Now onto the video. Now it's time for some bad news though, because the deployment of the Ranger and the Summoner classes, most of us already knew this, but they have to remain on hold because of the pet implementation. They really need the network overhaul to be done first, because it's going to optimize everything and make the server run more better. It's going to run more better, okay? Their network solution is to enable performant player concurrency and server-side calculations on the required scale of an MMORPG. So optimization, refactored C99 transport, and a bunch of other gobbledygook that I don't know what it means. All right, moving on. The gathering and crafting, they said, is in progress, and it's the development of supporting tools, UI, infrastructure for the implementation of gathering and crafting content, gameplay, and progression. And they also have added some additional mining nodes throughout Thronefast and Avendir's Pass. Also, I found this interesting. They're still working on the perception system because, although they had preliminary implementations and we've seen those of the perception content, they still need additional development for supporting tools, UI, that's required to implement the perception and its related features and progression on a larger scale, and the quality they intend for alpha and beyond. So a lot of work to do there, although what we've already seen and been able to play with is already good. It's awesome to see that that's just the preliminary implementation. Also, factions, I found this interesting. It's on the to-do list as well to get to alpha, which is leveraging faction for other aspects other than kill on site, etc., such as gaining access to specific tasks, storylines, merchants, etc., which is really cool, knowing that we kind of figured, but knowing that the faction system goes beyond just they hate you and they'll kill you, or they love you and they won't kill you, and varying degrees in between. Tasks, so quests, storylines, and merchants specific to high faction is really good news. Also, climbing improvements, they want to improve the animations for climbing. Also, they said they want to introduce a climbing specific resource and a related UI, and they want it to be an improvable skill that you can get better at climbing, and new surface types, different climbability challenges, and improve climbing animations. Of course, I can't help but think if it rains, it should be more slippery. This should be easier to climb than that, etc. And I think that's what they're going for. Then they mentioned something really interesting here. They say that the updated stamina attribute and endurance pool allows the facilitation of implementation of a sprint function and future integration with climbing resource. So sprinting looks like it'll be in the game, obviously pulling from the stamina and endurance statistics. Already mentioned swimming, but they also have on the to-do list acclimation. And then they say, that they are in progress for the disposition and traits. So we know there's dispositions already in the game in pre-alpha at this point. However, they want to improve that and trait spawning rules, as well as dedicated UI components to display dispositions and traits to players. And a lot of people don't like that. They say, I don't want to see what they are. We don't really know yet, right? And I don't think we will know until they test it and they find the right happy spot where, you know, and it could be a level thing. It could be like, hey, for the first few levels, we're going to show you, and we'll slowly start taking that away until you just have to figure it out yourself. Or maybe that sucks. Maybe people play that and that's not fun. It's annoying. And you know, maybe they make it icons that you have to learn, or only when they do a disposition or a trait that is for their particular type, it shows that icon. And if you're fast and you're quick and you look, you'll be like, oh, I know what disposition this is. I mean, who knows, right? This is part of why it's in progress. And then even beyond that, they'll have to test it and find the sweet spot. Also on the to-do list is the looking for group tool. And we all know what that is. I'm not going to get into the details about it, but I will mention that it does not look like it's plentyoffish.com. It looks like this is just, you know, looking for criteria so that you can pursue shared gameplay goals with other players. They can look up groups, looking for group. You can have that out there and put up so that you can find players. It looks like, and you know what? That's all we need. That's all we need. We don't need, I don't need to know what kind of music you listen to group with you, okay? I mean, it was a great idea, right? I get it. That was cool. Brad McQuaid thought of this, you know, really advanced LFG tool. It's just, you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't care. What kind of music you listen to, what kind of movies you like, I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. Can you monk? That's what I want to know. Can you monk? You know, etc. Anyway, basic guild system is also on the to-do list, which is develop a UI and supporting infrastructure to allow players to form groups, have a chat channel for the guild, basic hierarchies, and membership management commands. And a calendar. They didn't say that, but they need that. Banks. Develop a UI and support infrastructure to support the storage and retrieval of items. We all know what a bank is, and that's on the to-do list. And then they did say, here's another interesting one, that it's in progress, that they are improving the starting experience for new players. Now, I will say that if you think back to Castle Debier, they already had a tutorial type, and it wasn't intrusive. It just kind of told you about it, and they didn't let you play with the mechanic, right? It's like, here's this mechanic. It's perception. Here's what it means. Now go play with it. And I like that approach to tutorials, because I hate hand holding. I hate just being like, W makes you move up. Like, bro, we know we wouldn't be here, right? Like, if we didn't know how to operate a keyboard and a mouse, we wouldn't have even gotten to your game, okay? So we don't need that. We don't need to know that the mouse, what it does and its functions, and the left click and the right click. We know. We freaking downloaded your game and installed it and patched it and got to this point. We know, we made a character. Oh, trust me, we know, okay? You don't have to tell us all that. And Pantheon is going for a less hand-holdy approach and more of like a treat you like an adult. Here's what this is. You maybe never heard of it, and now go play with it and figure it out. So I really like that, and I hope they continue with that kind. Now, there is a sweet spot there that will, because there will be new players that don't know everything about Pantheon, right? So it doesn't annoy me to see them say like, hey, that's a perception ping, right? Like, that could lead you on a crazy adventure. Why don't you investigate that area further? That doesn't bother me, because that gets the imagination rolling, right? If you didn't know about the perception system and it does it, and then it alerts you like, hey, check this out, that's pretty cool. All that does is it makes new players want to investigate further, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this is sweet. Does this continue? Is this going to get more advanced as we go on? And that creates excitement and makes people get addicted to your game, and I think it's really smart. And I think, pretty darn sure, based on what I saw in Castle Debier and the talks I had with Joppa while I was playing in Castle Debier, that that's what they're going for. So fantastic. Now here's another juicy one. Ooh, are you ready? Player models. It's on their to-do list, okay? They haven't started yet, apparently, but it's on the to-do list. This is where they're going to rig remaining player race models, such as the Scar, the Dark Myr, and the Archai, so they can be animated and conform all non-human races and genders to their entity outfitting system, so they can equip and unequip armor dynamically, which is really exciting. I mean, I know it's just on the to-do list, right? But that means it's coming, you know, like, they got some other things more important, but it's on there, baby. It's coming, and I can't wait to see these races in the game, and hopefully a little bit more implementation of some of these races being able to be some more classes, like the Dark Myr being able to be a Paladin since they can already be a Cleric. It just makes sense. Come on now. Also, NPC models. So brand new NPC and creature models for use in the world population content development. So of course they're adding new mobs and things for us to fight and people to talk to, etc. Also, the animations are in progress progress, which is develop player and NPC animations to support locomotion, combat, emotes, and other gameplay. So that's in progress. So that's really exciting. The animation is one of those things, it needs work because that people look at it and they're like, ooh, the animation sucks, the graphics suck, right? Even though the graphics look great, if the animations suck, it kind of makes the graphics seem like they suck. Then they mentioned refined human male idle and locomotion animations. This makes me feel like that if they get the human locomotion animations, etc., you know, jumping, running, climbing, and their idle animations, then they can probably tweak those for the other races, change them a little bit to be a little unique, but this would probably be their base generic animation, right? That's what I'm reading from it. And of course, also they have audio in development for additional environmental sounds, unique sounds, and ambient and signature music. And that is all the exciting stuff. There's some other stuff in there. Like I said before, if you go to the description down below, you can get the link that will take you to the official newsletter and check that out. And I think this is pretty exciting. We're getting the Paladin, we're getting the Warrior, we're getting the Cleric. We've got the NPC models in progress. So lots of new creatures coming. Also player models coming soon. It's on the to-do. Animations in progress. We got almost all of King's Reach, that continent, converted through HDRP. So getting to see that will be super exciting. We got a lot of very awesome, cool news from newsletter. It's been a great year of development for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And I'm looking forward to 2022 and what it can bring, hopefully alpha. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the like button down below. And if you're new here, please subscribe. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, which I've been looking forward to for a very long time. So hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. Of course, leave me a comment. What was your favorite part from this newsletter? What's got your juices flowing? What's got you excited? You all know the Paladin really got me going. So, you know, it's got me all like, tasty. I just cannot wait to play that Paladin in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. So exciting. And guys, you let me know what you think though down below. And until next time, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.